Hi everyone, this week is Parshas Metzora, and I have been very fortunate to live in a time with so many time-saving devices. I still remember getting our first microwave. And today, if someone wants to put up a load of laundry, you just throw it into the machine, turn a few buttons, push a few buttons. Even the telephone, right? We used to have a rotary phone, now it's just push button. And now the phone's in our pocket. And when do I get my delivery? I just go to my app, and the next day or two, I've got the package that I wanted. If I needed news, it's almost instantaneous. And it's great stuff. I appreciate it. But the flip side of that is that I lack a certain sense of patience, always hoping and demanding I want something right away. Or when am I going to get it? And this week's Parshas Metzora teaches us, as last week as well, Tazria, about patience. When the Jewish people enter the land of Eretz Yisrael, and their homes might be stricken what we call tsarat. Again, today maybe it's called mold. I'm not exactly sure what we would call it today. You'd have to call up the Kohen. He'd have to come and take a look at the walls of the house. And often he'd have to close up the house and quarantine it for 7 days before he could then declare if it was pure or impure. And the same thing if people became impure through different ways. They sometimes would have to wait a week before they could be pure. And I think we've learned that through COVID and Corona, that sometimes if we get sick and we become contagious, we have to close ourselves up for 5 days or 7 days or whatever it is. And so this parsha reinforces, as well as last week, the importance of patience. I heard a beautiful story about one of the Baal Shem Tov students who was traveling in a carriage with his Hasidim, and it was on Friday, Erev Shabbat. And on the road, they came across, in front of them, was the carriage of one of the ministers. And the law of that country of the time was that you weren't allowed to overtake the minister's carriage. They had plenty of soldiers with them. And the Hasidim got very worried, and they said, what's going to be with Shabbos? And the Chassid said to them, the Rebbe said to them, don't worry, it's all for the best. And again, the carriage was going slow, and they weren't allowed to overtake it. And again, the Hasidim were getting panicked. And after an hour or two, they said, look, it's getting close to Shabbos. And the Rebbe said, it's all for the best, it's all for the best. It happened to be that we're going through a very narrow pathway in a forest. And one of the trees, heavy from snow, had broken and had blocked the pathway. And of course, the minister's carriage had stopped. And the Hasidim said, oh boy, we're going to spend Shabbos in the forest. And of course, the soldiers of the minister got together. They hoisted the tree off of the path. And then shortly afterwards, the minister's carriage went in a different direction. And so the Hasidim were able to and the Rebbe, to get back in time for Shabbos. Had they overpassed the carriage, they would have ended up with that tree and they would have been stuck. So sometimes patience is not only a virtue, but it's for our benefit. And so, as we get ready for Pesach, we are a little bit under the gun, right? We feel the pressure. We have to get our shopping done. We have to get our cleaning done. And even when the matzahs, they have to be baked in 18 minutes. And we have to finish the Seder at a certain time and eat Korban Pesach. There's a lot of time constraints and certain pressure. But at the same time, we have to balance that with a certain sense of patience and understand that maybe getting what we want right away or getting it the next day is maybe not the best thing for us. So let's take a deep breath. Let's learn from the parasha about the importance of patience. And sometimes things are not meant to be rushed. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom, and I hope that your preparations for Pesach are going well. Shabbat Shalom, and please, if you like it, pass it on.